Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning Blaque in once again to Authentic Black Goddess TV. I'm your host, QueenAShakur, and this is the third dose of your daily vitamin. So as you're coming in, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Please be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at QueenAShakur, and also you can find me on Twitter at DGoddess27, and please make sure that you also follow the Queen Shakur fan page. Okay, so with that all being said, let's get into it. Ray Williams says, "Hey Queen, you look so beautiful in green." Thank you, beloved. Tori says, "You look so beautiful in that color." Thank you. Woke One said, "We are black for it." Okay. All right, peace, Ramsey. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Kay Sampson says, "YouTube tripping. I was stuck in your last live for 3 minutes." Stuck in the live? So they holding people hostage now? What is going on with Screwtool, beloved? Millie said, "Love those earrings." Thank you, beloved. The Conscious Room said, "Love your outfit." You all are sure being nice today. Thank you for all your kind words. Okay. Misha said, "That color is popping." And Conscious Room says, "Green means money." Yes. All right. So with that all being said, Hortensia says, "Green is your color, Queen." Thank you, beloved. You know it's my favorite color. Thank you. So with that all being said, let's get into it, people. Let's talk about Kyle Rittenhouse. I almost said something else with an SH. So listen, Kyle Rittenhouse won't get his gun back. Remember, I reported to you maybe about a month ago that he said he wanted that gun back, the AR-15, and he claimed because he wanted to take it apart and destroy it. Question is, if he wanted to destroy it, why did he care where it was? I mean, at the end of the day, I think he wanted it for a souvenir. That's just my opinion. Now, though, now that he didn't get his gun back, he clearly wants that $2 million that they used to get him out of jail, to bail him out. Now, they say Kyle Rittenhouse's rifle will be dismantled at the Wisconsin State Crime Lab in April. And he will get to keep nearly $1 million of the crowdfunded bail that was posted to keep him out of jail during his homicide trial last year. Now, at a short hearing on Friday, Judge Bruce Schroeder approved 2 deals. One was it was agreed by Rittenhouse. I'm sorry, they have typos, honey. I don't know who edits these things. But it was agreed to by Rittenhouse was to let authorities destroy the rifle. The other was to divvy up his $2 million bail with actor Ricky Schroeder and a Texas nonprofit organization led by Atlanta lawyer Lynn Wood. Now, I told y'all when the trial was going on, is that Judge Bruce Schroeder related by any chance to Ricky Schroeder, the actor from Silver Spoons, who donated all those thousands upon thousands, almost $1 million, I do believe, to Kyle Rittenhouse? Now, under the agreement, they say $920,000 will be paid in trust to Richards and Dimmer, the Racine law firm that defended Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, another $925,000 will go to #FightBack Foundation. Schroeder, who posed with Rittenhouse soon after he was released from jail, well, he's going to get back $150,000 that he contributed. Now, they say Rittenhouse did say that he wanted the gun back, along with the clothing that he wore the night of the shootings, so that he could destroy it. Let me ask y'all something. What kind of sick psychopath would want back the clothes that they had on the night they murdered 2 people? Now, he claims he wanted the clothes back to destroy them. I don't believe that. I don't care what that little racist thug says, okay? So he could destroy it. If you're just going to destroy it, why do you care about the clothes, period? Why do you care if they're sitting in some evidence locker somewhere, if somebody donated them to Goodwill or whatever? Why do you care? Honey, he probably wanted to take those clothes and sell them and that gun and sell them like George Zimmerman did. Y'all remember how George Zimmerman sold that gun that he used to murder Trayvon Martin with? I believe he got $250,000. If that doesn't tell you how stupid and ridiculous racists are, I mean, whoever paid him $250,000 for a gun just because he killed a black person with it? That's how sick these people are. Okay? These racist demons. These are the same types that will kill your ancestors, our ancestors, hang them from trees, cut off their noses, pluck out their eyes, cut off their lips in privates, and take it home as souvenirs and trophies. These are the kind of people who would do that, right? Now, so Rittenhouse did not attend Friday's hearing, and his attorney, Mark Richards, would not say where Rittenhouse is living. But he said he is getting ready to go back to college and is now interested in a possible legal career. Must be nice to be white. Okay? You murdered 2 people, but you want to go into the legal business? Authorities returned Rittenhouse's clothing and cell phone to Richards on Wednesday. He said he will mail them to Rittenhouse. Now, Kenosha Joint Services will hold the rifle until it sends a routine batch of firearms to the state crime lab for destruction. That will likely be in April, according to the assistant district attorney, Thomas Binger. Now, the lab will record the process and present the video to Richards as proof the gun was destroyed. So, it's just all so ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. And here's what someone had to say. Richard said that Blaque is the guy who made the straw purchase for Kyle, who was later charged. He went and purchased the gun because he was old enough to do so. And then he purchased it in his name and then gave it to Kyle. So Richard said that Blaque had also expressed interest in claiming the gun, the person who initially bought it, and that Rittenhouse was concerned that Blaque might try to sell it for rumored 6-figure offers. See, that's why he wanted it destroyed, Rittenhouse, because he realized he couldn't make a profit off of it because he didn't technically pay for it. The other guy did, and it was actually in his name. So he couldn't make money off of it, apparently. He didn't want anybody to. That's how devils do. Now, at the end of the day, he says, we didn't think anyone should profit from it, says Richards. Please. Of course they did. Now, David Hancock, a spokesman for the Rittenhouse family, said Rittenhouse didn't want anyone to use any of his possessions to celebrate the case. What? He never had a problem with people celebrating the case after he murdered those people. I mean, they were celebrating him as soon as he got bailed out. He was celebrating himself, holding up his little racist white supremacist sign, had on a shirt said free as F. Y'all remember posing with wannabe white supremacists such as the Proud Boys, and then tried to blame it on his attorney, said the attorney set him up. How does someone set you up to smile and take a picture with someone? If you don't want to take the picture, then just don't do it. Did the attorney put a gun to his head? Of course not. He did what he wanted to do. All that mayo-splaining, clearly it was just all too much. Now, at the end of the day, 2 people lost their lives. This is what Hancock told the Associated Press. He said that weapon doesn't belong on a mantle. It doesn't belong in a museum. Now, while the Rittenhouse rifle might have fetched well more than a typical value, the bail is a definite $2 million. So they say in 2016, when George Zimmerman, the gun that George Zimmerman used to kill Trayvon Martin was returned to him, Zimmerman tried to auction it for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The bidding price reached, y'all not going to believe this. Y'all are not going to believe this. I don't even recall ever knowing this. Listen. They said when George Zimmerman was auctioning his gun that he used to murder Trayvon Martin, the bidding price reached $65 million. These people are racist. You're going to spend $65 million on a gun just because it killed a black person? And you're going to tell me these are the same people that if they could today, and probably some of them do, go and cut off black people's private parts and noses and all that stuff for souvenirs, just like their ancestors did after they lynched black people, because they still lynch black people, right? That is so crazy. That is some sick shites. Yes, Dan said they get off on it. Yes, they do. $65 million. Now, they say normally bail is returned to the person who posted it. In Rittenhouse's case, thousands of supporters nationwide contributed to his legal defense and his family's support in the days after his arrest. Most of the money was channeled through the Fight Back Foundation, a Texas nonprofit established a few weeks earlier by Rittenhouse's first attorneys, Lynn Wood and John Pierce. Rittenhouse eventually fired Pierce, who is now representing people charged in the January the 6th, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. And he blames Wood for letting him, this is what Kyle Rittenhouse does. He blames his initial attorney, Wood, for letting him remain in jail in an Illinois juvenile detention center for months while pursuing an ill-fated extradition fight. On Thursday, a Nevada entity claiming to have obtained the rights to a $3.75 million judgment against Pierce and his former law firms and business entities, they filed a motion making its claim to the entire $2 million bail, or at minimum, the $300,000 that it says it contributed toward bail in the fall of 2020. Well, there's that. I guess they all are fighting over that money right now, honey. That's what they're doing. All of the devils are squabbling over that money. Let them go right ahead. Let them go right ahead. So anyway, everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now listen to this. Forget this human sacrificer, says C. Stan. Absolutely. The Virginia Department of Education is getting flooded with memes after creating a tip line to report schools teaching about racism. These people are something else. Someone says, I have reason to believe that Chatham Hall in Chatham is teaching race. My kids' homework said the yassification of history. So this is what we're doing now as a country. This is where we're at, people. They got a tip line for people to snitch on any school that's teaching about racism. Wow, so desperate to hide the truth. I mean, you have a tip line for that? They can't even solve 75% of the murders in this country. Did you all know that actually at least 75% of the murders committed in the U.S. go unsolved? And they don't have time to have a tip line for that. But they have a tip line for people to snitch about anybody teaching about racism at school. Honey, I don't know what to say about them. So an email tip line was set up by the Virginia governor to track which schools are teaching students about systemic racism instead, or the tip line has been instead inundated with memes, quoting everything from B-movie to the lyrics of Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B's WAP. So on Monday, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin announced an email tip line that encouraged parents to report if divisive practices such as critical race theory were being taught in schools. Critical race theory, an academic term describing the analysis of how racial power structures have been upheld in institutional forms of society, such as the legal system, has become a flashpoint for Republicans in the last year. Now, the newly elected governor banned teaching it in schools in his first executive order after assuming office on January the 15th, and asked parents to instead contact the government via the tip line if they feel their fundamental rights are being violated and that their children are not being respected, where there are inherently divisive practices in our school. Let me tell you something. So let me get this straight. They don't want the little white kids to feel disrespected because people are teaching and talking about racism in school. But it was okay for the little black kids to be spat on, punched, kicked, beaten, called nasty racist names, the N-word, monkey, and all of those things, just because they were just trying to go to school just to learn and just to get their education as well. It was okay for all of that to be done. Nobody made legislation to stop it. Nobody did anything about it. Nobody held any school board meetings. None of that. None of that. After Brown versus the Board of Education in 1955, and they said that black people could then go to school with white people, and all of the melee that ensued because they didn't want black people coming to their schools. All of the heinous things they did, spitting on them, just doing all kinds of crazy stuff, fighting them, beating them, you name it, police having to escort them, the National Guard and military having to escort these kids to school so they could be safe. So that wasn't a problem, and that wasn't disrespectful, but white children having to listen to the truth about racism in this country that their ancestors and their right now they're the descendants and they're doing the same things. The fact that they have to listen to that is deemed as disrespectful and divisive. Isn't that something? Now that infuriated Qasim Rashid, age 39, a human rights attorney and Virginia parent. He said it was very telling that a tip line was set up to report teachers who are teaching children about racism and not a tip line for children who are suffering from racism. Woo! Didn't he say it? They're not saying anything. That's the same thing I told you all weeks ago. They're not saying anything about the little black boy who was forced to drink urine and beat when he was tricked into going to his little white classmate's house for a sleepover, and all the other little white kids just beat him, berated him, and made him drink their nasty, disgusting urine. Who thinks of this at the age of 12 and 13 besides little demon seeds? They didn't say anything about the black boy who was in the locker room for a shower after a football game, and the rest of the teammates came in there, the white ones, and beat him, hit him all in his private parts with their belts, pushed him into a locker, and threw bananas and banana peels in there and made monkey noises. They didn't say anything about that. They didn't say anything about the little boy, 7 Scales, who at the age of 10 was bullied and beaten on the school bus and called the N-word and choked till he almost passed out by a racist little demon seed. And even the bus driver was bullying him as well. And 7 went home and committed suicide after months of dealing with this, hanged himself in his closet. They don't want anything to address that. They don't have a tip line to address those issues. Of course they don't. Because you see, those are black people's issues. And nobody cares about black people's issues. Sadly, many of black people don't even care about black people's issues. Now, he goes on to say, it was very telling that a tip line was set up to report teachers who are teaching children about racism and not a tip line for children who are suffering from racism, especially when neo-Nazis are marching through the streets. Woo. He's letting them have all the smoke, and I love it. Let me write down his name. I'm going to have to look him up. At the end of the day, here's the thing. These devils absolutely unequivocally don't want the truth to be told. They just don't want to hear it. And they don't want anyone else to hear it. And they'll do anything, lie, cheat, steal, you name it, whatever, make new legislation and all of that, make people turn into snitches, as they call it, on tip lines so they can tattle on whoever's trying to teach about it, which is nothing but the truth. Don't y'all find it interesting that they can tell you lies and tell your children lies about Santa Claus, about the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny? They can tell your children and feed your children lies and BS about that, but they can't tell them the truth about their own history, about their own country that they're raised in. Amazing. So he tweeted about it sarcastically. Now the thread which he tells BuzzFeed News now has over 3 million impressions. It spawned a huge call to action and received overwhelming support from parents and educators in raising awareness on the issue. He says, and this is what his tweet says, GOP Virginia governor just set up a tip line to report schools and AMP teachers who want to teach about racism. And then he put the email for the governor. He said, whatever you do, don't make a mockery of this with fake tips. That would be a terrible thing to do, right? So everyone knows not to send in fake tips. Of course, he was being sarcastic. And that's why everyone's absolutely sending in fake tips. Now, he says, I've always been of the opinion that we need to fight bad ideas with better ideas. My call to action was simply that. Let's show how ridiculous this tip line is. What this governor does not understand is that our education system was built with bipartisan support. And while I'm on here, let me give you all the email for this tip line, because I'm definitely going to be sending in some complaints. Okay? Yes. Hold on. Let me write it down for myself, first of all. And then I'm going to put it in the chat. Everyone, please get those likes up. Please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you in advance. Let me put this email in the chat for you all. And make sure, people, that you send legit tips, not fake ones, all right? We wouldn't want to waste the governor or anyone else's time who has to read them. There y'all go. There y'all go. All right. Share it with your friends and family so they can send tips as well. Because we've got to drown out this teaching of racism. I mean, Black people, it's time to move on and move forward. Haven't you talked about racism and played the victims enough? That's how they talk about us behind our backs. Pay attention. So, goes on to say, what this governor does not understand is that our education system was built with bipartisan support. Now, when students and activist Sophia Ongale, age 21, saw Rashid's tweet about the tip line, well, she immediately jumped to action, using her coding skills to create auto-generated email formats so that people could flood the inbox. Oh, honey, I love it. I'm going to do the same. She says, as a Black person, I know disinformation breeds hate and violence. Her TikTok is full of information, news, and tools that she has made to encourage mobilization online against inequity. She says this tip line is trying to vilify educators for literally doing their job. This isn't critical race theory being taught in schools. It's American history. That's right. What Youngkin is doing is using this term as a boogeyman to sow fear and divide people, particularly among ignorant and fearful members of the hegemonic class. So I don't want this tip line to exist. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, she got to work messing it up. She coded a site that creates an email to the governor's email tip line with the name of an actual Virginia school mixed with song lyrics and pop culture memes. She says, if I'm not mistaken, Narrows High School in Narrows is teaching critical race theory. My child's homework said, switch my wig, make him feel like he cheating. That's what she sent to the tip line. That my kid's homework said, switch my wig, make him feel like he's cheating. And then another message that was sent to them says, if I'm not mistaken, Unity Reed High School in Manassas is teaching racism. My kid's homework said, take your medication, Roman. So they're just sending all kinds of BS. At the end of the day, this is exactly what they get. Because how stupid could you be? Now, Rashid views the young people fighting this tip line with great admiration. The kids are all right, he said. They're all right. That's all I can say. I mean, it's phenomenal. When you look at some of the nation's greatest historical icons, they were in their teens when they first got involved. And that's what these kids are doing. They're the next Rosa Parks, Dr. King, Malcolm X. And they're utilizing the tools of today in a really effective manner to demand accountability and to push back against hate. And you know what's so ironic is the fact that these devils, when they try to talk about hate and being divisive, which is clearly what they're doing and what they continue to do. But it's funny that they want to say hate is being spewed and people are causing division because you're telling the truth about them. That's playing the victim, okay? That's also playing the race card. When they say, we don't want you talking about racism because the little white kids will feel bad or they'll be disrespected. That's the race card that they claim that we always play, okay? And then when they say, oh, well, they're being divisive and they shouldn't be talking about these things and this, that, and the third, and we don't want to talk about it. It makes people feel bad. That's playing the victim. Another thing they always accuse us of doing. I want you to pay attention. They are essentially the ones who always play the victim card and the race card. It's true. They absolutely do. Look at these Karens and Kens who go around here harassing Black people on a regular basis, stopping and asking you stupid niggard questions or wiggerant questions, as if you owe them some sort of explanation for who you are and why you're wherever you're at. But they want to talk about somebody being divisive because you're talking about racism. They're being divisive every day. Very divisive. And they're being racist every day. These are racist people. That's just what they're doing. So anyway, with that all being said, Saladin says, yep, but damn their feelings. The truth is the truth and will be told. Absolutely. And as far as being divisive, I'll be fine with that. Yes, listen, this country's always been divided. That's why it should not ever be called the United States. It should be called the divided snakes. And so with that all being said, they need to have several seats, okay? So here it says, narcissists don't like truth about themselves. White people are narcissistic about all of this. Racist white folk are, yes. And here's the thing. Narcissists don't like the truth about themselves. And it's funny because I was just talking about this yesterday. The thing about narcissists is they will never, ever own up to their nefariousness. It's always someone else's fault. It's always someone else doing something. It's never them. So with that all being said, everyone please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Please click the notification bell. Click the word all so that you're notified each time I go live. I want to thank you all for tuning Blaque in once again. And now I'm going live on the original channel immediately following this broadcast. We have to talk about these missing Black women and girls and how nobody brings attention to them. So with that all being said, I hope to see you on the next chat. Peace.